When we talk about language education today, we often picture two contrasting worlds. The traditional classroom, with its tactile immediacy, shared laughter, and human connection, and the digital realm, filled with adaptive apps, video calls, and asynchronous lessons that transcend time zones. Yet, the most transformative approach in modern pedagogy lies not in choosing between these two, but in blending them, in weaving physical presence with digital flexibility, warmth with technological efficiency. So, sit down comfortably, grab yourself a coffee, and let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
Blended and hybrid learning models are not new. Their roots reach back decades. The early 2000s saw universities experimenting with flipped classrooms, while language schools began integrating online grammar drills with in-person speaking sessions. But the real revolution came with the global shift in education caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. What was once an optional enhancement became an essential survival strategy. And in many ways, the birth of a new educational paradigm. At the heart of blended learning lies a simple but powerful question. Where does learning actually happen? Is it within the four walls of a classroom or in the quiet focus of a student rewatching a pronunciation video at home? Is it during the live exchange between teacher and learner or the self-paced reflection that happens afterward? Blended and hybrid models suggest that learning doesn't belong to a single location or moment. It's fluid, extending across platforms, contexts, and even moods. It follows the learner, from the classroom to the cafe, from the screen to the notebook, from the group discussion to the solitary review before bed. Yet, to make this model work, educators must master the delicate art of design. Not every blend works, and not every digital tool adds value. The key lies in intentionality, knowing why each element exists and how it contributes to the learning journey. A common pitfall in blending instruction is what some researchers call digital clutter. The overuse of online platforms without a cohesive pedagogical rationale. Learners, especially language learners, can feel overwhelmed by too many logins, too many tabs, too many notifications, all competing for attention, but rarely building coherence. The most effective blended courses, therefore, begin with clarity. Teachers define their learning outcomes first, then decide which experiences are best lived face-to-face and which can thrive online. Perhaps pronunciation practice and feedback happen in person, while reading comprehension and vocabulary review occur through interactive apps. Perhaps the online space becomes a place of rehearsal, and the classroom becomes a stage of performance. There's also a psychological dimension to this balance. The physical classroom gives learners a sense of belonging and identity. They see themselves as part of a learning community. The digital classroom, on the other hand, gives autonomy, a sense of ownership over time, pace, and progress. The magic of blended learning is that it nurtures both connection and independence, structure and freedom. In my own teaching experience, I've seen this balance evolve dramatically. In one course, we used an online discussion forum to continue classroom debates after hours. What emerged wasn't just homework, it was genuine conversation, sustained curiosity, and a depth of reflection that readily fits into a 40 minutes class. The students who were shy in person found their voices online. This is a very beautiful perspective. And the ones who dominated discussions in class learned to listen, to read, to respond thoughtfully in writing. Hybrid learning, often confused with blended learning, introduces another layer. It refers to simultaneous teaching to both in-person and remote students. This format, while technologically demanding, can open language education to global collaboration. Imagine a classroom where students in Tokyo, Sao Paulo, and Nairobi join peers physically, sitting in New York, all discussing the nuances of idioms or cultural metaphors. The linguistic and cultural richness of such an environment is unparalleled. But hybrid learning also tests teachers' adaptability. And this might be a little bit of a problem for some of the teachers. Managing two audiences, one before you and one on screen, requires a shift in classroom choreography. You're not just a teacher anymore. You're a director, a broadcaster, and a facilitator of multiple realities. Success depends on preparation, pacing, and empathy. Overall empathy. Definitely. Ensuring that the students on Zoom don't feel like silent spectators, while those in the room don't feel neglected by the camera's gaze. The technology, of course, is only the vessel. What truly matters is how it's used. When leveraged thoughtfully, tools like online breakout rooms, collaborative documents, and virtual whiteboards can transform linguistic interaction. They create what some scholars call third spaces, places where learners construct meaning collectively, not bound by physical presence. A well-designed hybrid classroom can simulate immersion. For example, students practicing a new language can collaborate with native speakers across continents, record their dialogues, and reflect on linguistic nuances afterward. These experiences go far beyond textbook exercises. They build intercultural competence, digital literacy, and communicative confidence. Still, educators must navigate challenges, technical glitches, uneven internet access, and learner fatigue can erode motivation. Teachers, too, can experience burnout, constantly shifting between screens and students, maintaining eye contact both with the webcam and with those in the front row. The emotional labor of this mode of teaching is often underestimated. Well, I would say teaching itself, it's undervalued, and everything. Institutions that embrace hybrid or blended models must invest not only in infrastructure, but in training and support. Teachers need time to redesign lessons, rethink assessment, and experiment. They need psychological safety to fail, to learn, and to adapt. Pedagogical innovation flourishes not in pressure, but in trust. Assessment in blended environments also invites creativity. Traditional tests often fall short of measuring the complex skills developed across digital and physical settings. Instead, project-based learning, one of the things that we actually talked in previous episode, reflective journals, portfolios, all these allow learners to demonstrate growth authentically, integrating online research, multimedia presentation, and spoken performance into holistic evaluation. And then there's equity. We must remember that technology, while empowering, can also divide. Not every learner has access to a quiet space, a reliable connection, or a personal device. To build truly inclusive blended systems, we must design for diversity, low-tech alternatives, offline options, and culturally sensitive content. Accessibility isn't an afterthought. It's the foundation of good pedagogy. And as we look to the future, the line between blended and hybrid will likely blur even further. Artificial intelligence, adaptive algorithms, and immersive technologies will allow educators to create truly personalized ecosystem of learning, ones that respond dynamically to each learner's pace and style. But no algorithm can replace the human presence that anchors all language learning. The empathy, the intuition, the shared laughter that turns words into relationships. The question then is not whether blended or hybrid learning will define the future. It already does. The real question is how we as educators can shape these models into intentional and inspiring experiences. The best teaching has always been about meeting students where they are. Now we can do both, in person and digitally speaking. So, as we navigate this evolving landscape, let's remember that the classroom, physical or virtual, is just the vessel. The real destination is connection. The real curriculum is curiosity. And the real technology is still the human mind. Until next time, keep blending the best of both worlds and keep teaching from the heart.